Before I even get into this video, the discovery of finding this story all started on Instagram when I thought it was merely a meme that someone created just to cause conversation. And then I decided to do a little Google searching. So I went to the Google search engine, typed in a few keywords based on what I saw, because it wasn't from an article, it was just a picture. And the picture that I saw was the guy on the right. So I typed a few keywords in, and lo and behold, it turns out that this. All right, sorry about the minor interruption, but back to what I was saying. It came across the picture of the guy on the right. So like I said, I went and searched into Google, and then lo and behold, it turns out this was an actual story. So basically, you're wondering, what is this story all about? Well, now we're taking a trip across the pond. We're going to South Wales. We're going over to the UK, where you have these two individuals. On the right, his name is Luke Rance, and on the left is a guy by the name of Brandon Kerrison. And basically, they were doing a drug deal exchange of marijuana, cannabis, whatever you want to call it, weed, whatnot. Like I said, this story has so many layers to it, it's not even funny. It's just very interesting, but not so shocking nor surprising. So they basically got caught up when the text messages got to the wrong people, and they pretty much got exposed. So what ended up happening is they ended up having to go to court. Now, you probably can't see in the picture because it's so small, but right here is the picture of the judge. And notice how he's wearing that thing on top of his head. They still wear stuff, them headdresses and whatnot, like it's back in the 1700s or the 1600s or whenever, you know, they first got out of them caves and sanitized themselves, if you want to call it that. He's decided that because the tone and language that was used in the text messages were so impressive and so profound that he decided to not charge them with anything for what they did. Basically, in his eyes, because they had Roget's thesaurus on deck, that they were so intelligent that they were not going to be charged with anything, even as far as them exchanging and dealing marijuana. Now, if this was two black people, two black men who did this, a thesaurus or a dictionary would not have saved them from an incident such as this. We would have been in jail. As a matter of fact, there's black men in jail right now for having just a little bit of weed on them. These two guys right here probably had ounces on top of ounces of weed between the both of them, because the guy on the right was the one that was dealing to the guy on the left, and the guy on the right is 19. That's a old looking 19, because I wouldn't have guessed 19. And the other guy is 21. He was dealing to him. Let me go ahead and read this article, because then it's going to go into even more detail about how crazy this thing really is, and how white privilege on a world scale really does work. It says two young drug dealers were praised by a judge for the high standard of grammar in their text messages to customers. Teenager Luke Rance bought cannabis in bulk and sold it to 21-year-old Brandon Kerrison for him to deal to people in Gower, South Wales. Judge David Hale, who sentenced the pair on Wednesday, noted that the grammar and punctuation used in their drug dealing text messages was of a much better standard than usually seen. Swansea Crown Court heard that officers were on foot patrol in the evening of December 17th last year in Pennard when they passed the village library. Tom Scapins, prosecuting, said the officers entered the car park and could smell cannabis. Nearby, they saw Rance and Kerrison. Kerrison, who was smoking a cannabis cigarette, fled but returned a short time later, while Rance stayed in the car parked with the officers. The court heard the men were searched, and 19-year-old Rance was found to have 7 bags of cannabis in a rucksack, along with a small quantity of cocaine. Kerrison had 2 bags of herbal cannabis and a mobile phone. The defendants' houses were searched, and in Rance's bedroom, officers found 2 large bags of cannabis worth more than 1,200 pounds. The court heard Kerrison's phone contained numerous messages related to drug dealing, and on the day in question, he had sent a message to 18 contacts saying, "Mad flavors from 10 tonight. Let me know for more details." Mr. Scapin said it was the prosecution's case that the defendants had been in the library car park that night for Rance to supply the cannabis he had bought in bulk to Kerrison for onward sale to customers he knew. Kerrison from Southgate Gower admitted possession of cannabis with intent to supply and being concerned in the supply of cannabis, while Rance, also from Southgate, admitted possession of cannabis with intent and simple possession of cocaine. The court heard neither has any previous convictions. Matt Henson for Kerrison said his client had a realistic prospect of securing work after completing a course in construction. James McKenna for Rance said his client was due to start a degree course later in the year. The court heard Rance was involved in the performing arts. Now, let me stop right there before I go any further. Basically, it's saying that these guys were doing this stuff, which would be deemed illegal, for, to get paid so they could, I guess, pay for all these aspirations that they have in their future. Remember, they always got to protect their future. These are the 19 and 21-year-old white males. If this was 19 and 21-year-old black males, they wouldn't give a damn about their future. They could do the same exact thing and have the same exact aspirations, and they would still throw their black ass in jail. Judge Hill told the defendants that at first cannabis may be an experiment that you find pleasurable, but its use can have serious consequences. He said court all too often sees lives that have been desperately affected by the use of strong cannabis. The judge said the delay in bringing the case to court does not do the system much credit and had meant a long period of stress and worry for the defendants' families. However, he said the delay may have worked to the benefit of the pair, as it meant they were able to demonstrate they had got their lives back on track and had stayed out of trouble. He said Rance seemed to have got involved with ne'er-to-do-wells in Liverpool by his cannabis buying activities, while Kerrison had set himself up as a dealer for people in the local community. Judge Hale said he did not want to fetter the prospects of the young men with custodial sentences and imposed on each a 12-month community order with 100 hours of unpaid work. Wow, that's such a consequence. That's such a punishment. In addition, Kerrison will have to complete a rehabilitation program, releasing them from the dock. He told them, "I hope a court never sees either of you again." So what have we learned? That if you are white and you are a male, you can sell all types of drugs as long as your grammar and your text messages with the people that you're exchanging with is proper. Like I said, there is nothing that a dictionary and a thesaurus would do to help someone like myself if I was in the same predicament. They would have took that dictionary and that thesaurus and as well as a conviction and threw all of them at me. This, ladies and gentlemen, is white privilege in the flesh. It is alive and it is doing very well. Y'all let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. The links will be in the description. I will talk to you in the next one.